What if everything you think you know about money is an illusion? What if the very system you trust to keep your savings safe is secretly designed to favor the wealthy? While most people struggle to make ends meet, money appears neutral, money appears fair, money feels real. But beneath the surface, the rules of the financial game are anything but transparent. For centuries, hidden systems, invisible hands, and carefully crafted illusions have allowed a small elite to grow richer often without anyone even noticing. In this video, we're uncovering the truth behind these money illusions, their origins, how they evolved, where they break, and how the patterns continue today. By the end, you'll understand why wealth continues to concentrate at the top, why financial crises seem to repeat themselves, and why the game might be rigged against you more than you ever imagined. To understand today's financial system, you must go back centuries long before digital currencies or stock markets. For thousands of years, money was tangible. Gold, silver, copper. Its value was obvious, you could weigh it, touch it, see it. But even in these early systems, subtle illusions were already taking shape. By the 1600s, European banks began issuing paper notes, claiming they could be redeemed for gold. At first glance, this innovation seemed revolutionary. No longer did merchants need to haul heavy coins across cities and countries. Trade expanded, economies flourished. But here's the twist. The paper itself became more powerful than the gold it represented. Banks soon realized they could issue more notes than the gold they actually held, a system that came to be known as fractional reserve banking. This meant that money was no longer tied solely to tangible assets. A promise became a form of wealth in itself. And those who controlled the banks, like the early Bank of England, founded in 1694, suddenly controlled the flow of wealth in society. The illusion had been born. Money appears neutral, but in reality, it favors those who control its creation, and this was only the beginning. The real transformation would come centuries later, when governments and central banks perfected the art of money manipulation, creating wealth for some while ordinary citizens bore the cost. Fast forward to the 20th century. The gold standard, which had anchored currencies for decades, began to crumble. Nations realized that being tied to gold limited their economic flexibility. Then came the defining moment. August 15, 1971, President Nixon closed the gold window, effectively ending the gold standard. The US dollar, and with it, most of the world's currencies, was now backed not by gold, but by trust. Trust became the new currency. And trust, as it turns out, is highly manipulable. Central banks like the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, and others gained unprecedented power. They could now create money, influence credit, and shape economies with a few keystrokes. This system created astonishing growth, but also remarkable inequality. Wealth flowed to those who already had access to financial instruments, stocks, bonds, real estate, and other assets that multiplied in value as central banks printed money. Meanwhile, the average worker watched their wages stagnate, their savings devalued by inflation, and their opportunities shrink. Key figures like the Rothschilds, Rockefeller heirs, and institutional investors weren't just wealthy, they were now embedded in the system itself, benefiting from mechanisms invisible to most of the world. The illusion was complete. Money appears neutral and fair. But the mechanisms of wealth creation disproportionately favor the rich. And the general public? Most never notice until a financial crisis exposes the system's fragility. The system works, till it doesn't. Every illusion has a breaking point. Consider the 2008 financial crisis. Leading up to it, banks created complex financial instruments, mortgage-backed securities, derivatives, and credit default swaps. These products appeared to spread risk, but in reality, they concentrated it. When the housing market collapsed, trillions of dollars vanished overnight. Ordinary families lost their homes, pensions shrank, and life savings disappeared. But here's the shocking part. Banks and large investors recovered almost immediately, thanks to government bailouts. The illusion held. It looked like a failure of the market, but it was in many ways a success for those who understood and controlled the underlying mechanisms. The rich got richer, and the public trusted the system to correct itself again. After each financial crisis, governments promised reforms, stricter regulations, consumer protections, better oversight. But these fixes rarely address the root problem. Why? Because the system itself depends on debt, speculation, and concentrated wealth. Even as regulations tighten, the wealthy find new ways to leverage their position. Tax havens, shadow banking, complex derivatives, cryptocurrencies, and private equity. Take quantitative easing after 2008. Trillions were injected into the economy to stimulate growth, but most of the benefits flowed to those who already held assets. Stocks, bonds, and real estate surged, enriching the top tier while the majority saw little improvement. Even today, the patterns repeat. Inflation continues to erode wages, yet asset prices rise. Debt grows, yet the wealthy exploit it to accumulate more wealth. The illusion persists. The system appears fair and functional, but in reality, it structurally favors the rich. Now, let's connect these historical patterns to our modern world. The top 1% of the global population controls nearly 45% of total wealth. Household debt in the U.S. alone exceeds $18 trillion, yet the stock market continues to hit record highs. Central banks continue to inject trillions in liquidity during crises, mostly inflating assets like stocks and real estate, again benefiting those who already hold wealth. And here's the kicker: the patterns are cyclical. Every major crisis, from the Great Depression to the 2008 crash to the 2020 pandemic recession, follows the same template. Money is created or leveraged by the elite. Economic growth benefits those with assets, not the majority. Crises hit the many, bailouts save the few. Even emerging financial tools, cryptocurrencies, digital central bank currencies, complex derivatives do not fundamentally change the system. Without structural reform, the same illusions will persist indefinitely. Visual overlay of wealth inequality charts from 1920 to 2025, highlighting repeating cycles. So, what can we learn from centuries of financial illusions? Money is not neutral. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be wielded to benefit some while disadvantaging others. Believing otherwise leaves most people vulnerable to systemic manipulation. Debt is a vehicle for inequality. Every major financial innovation, from fractional banking to modern derivatives, has disproportionately benefited those at the top, while ordinary workers bear the cost. Crises are features, not bugs. Economic collapses aren't anomalies, they're built into the system. Each crisis reinforces the wealth of the already powerful, while reforms are often superficial and fail to address structural manipulation. The takeaway is clear. Financial systems are not designed for equality. They are designed to appear fair while concentrating wealth. The next time you check your bank account, pay taxes, or hear about stock markets hitting record highs, remember, money is a carefully engineered illusion. The question isn't just whether you understand it, it's what you do with that knowledge. Will you remain a passive participant, trusting a system designed to favor the wealthy? Or will you start questioning the rules, seeking alternatives, and protecting yourself from manipulation? If this video opened your eyes to the hidden truths of money, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We're just scratching the surface. In upcoming videos, we'll explore global debt traps, central banking secrets, and financial strategies the elite use to maintain their wealth, knowledge that could change how you see the world. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and never take money at face value.